Welcome to The Explainer. You know, artificial intelligence, it's changing everything. But maybe the biggest experiment of all is happening right now, in our schools. What's wild is that this one technology is creating three totally different futures for students around the world. And it all kicks off with this one kind of surprising number.
42%. So, what do you think that number means? Especially when we're talking about AI and education. What could it be?
Get this. That's how many teachers in the UK were already using generative AI by late 2023. And what's really crazy here is the speed. I mean, just a few months before, that number was only 17%. So we're talking about an absolutely explosive jump. This isn't some slow burn adoption. It's a tidal wave.
Okay, but that crazy fast adoption in the UK, that's really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. This isn't just one story happening the same way everywhere. Nope. It's actually three totally separate, almost competing experiments. And we're going to dive into what's happening in the UK, the UAE, and China.
All right, Section 1, the National AI Playbook. Let's decode the rules of the game here. Because, before we can really get what's happening inside the classroom, we have to understand the high-level game plan each country is running.
And right away, you can see just how different these approaches are. The UK, they're being super pragmatic, decentralized. Their main goal is pretty simple: help cut down on the insane workload teachers have. Then you've got the UAE. They're going big, very visionary, very top-down. They see education as the foundation for building this huge global AI economy. And China? Well, China's all about centralization and massive scale. They want one single, unified system for the entire country. Totally different philosophies.
And this chart really brings it to life. You can literally see where each country is putting its energy. Look at the UK. It's all about practical stuff, reducing workload, and making sure it's safe. The UAE, heavily skewed toward their big economic goals and getting people trained for those jobs. And then there's China, just pouring almost everything into building that one massive platform. These are three completely different blueprints for what the future of education should look like.
Okay, so that's the high-level strategy. Section 2, AI inside the classroom. Let's get practical. How does all that policy stuff actually trickle down into the day-to-day? What does this actually look and feel like for a teacher or a student on a Tuesday morning?
So in the UK, think of AI as the ultimate teacher's assistant. It's this super practical tool that helps with all the grind work. Teachers are using it for things like whipping up different lesson plans for students at different levels, drafting rubrics for grading, or even handling those common emails from parents. The idea isn't to replace the teacher at all. It's about freeing them up to do the human stuff, the actual teaching.
Meanwhile, over in the UAE, the centerpiece of their vision is something called the Aleph Education System. Now, this is way more ambitious and totally student-focused. It's basically a fully AI-powered platform that acts like a personal tutor for every single kid. So if you're a student, the lesson on your screen is changing in real time based on your answers. You get it right, it gets harder. You're struggling, it gives you help. It's this vision of a completely personalized education, but delivered on a massive scale.
All right, now let's talk about China's approach. And honestly, you can boil their entire philosophy down to just one number: 1. So what's the 1? It's their goal of creating one single platform for the entire country. It's called the Smart Education of China platform, and it's already the #1 largest digital education resource in the world. The ambition here is just, wow, breathtaking. They want to use AI to give every single student, doesn't matter if you're in a big city or a tiny village, access to the exact same high-quality learning materials. It's a massive attempt to level the playing field for an entire nation. Okay, let's move on to Section 3. The Human-AI Partnership. Because all this tech is great, but it doesn't just exist in a lab, right? So how are actual human beings, teachers and students, really dealing with these tools? And what new problems are popping up along the way?
In the UK, it's really a grassroots movement. The change isn't coming from the top down. Instead, it's bubbling up from inside the schools themselves. It's being led by these super enthusiastic teachers they're calling AI champions. These are the folks who dive in, try out the new tools, and then turn around and show their colleagues what actually works and what doesn't.
And the students? How were they handling it? Well, there was this fascinating study on students at an elite university in China.
and it showed they've developed this really smart partnership with AI. They're not just blindly accepting whatever the AI spits out. The study said they enthusiastically use AI for routine tasks, the easy stuff, but maintain a skeptical, human oversight role for complex problem solving. It's like they have this trust but verify system already built in.
But there's a flip side to China's huge centralized plan. It's also exposed a major challenge. You see, students in the big urban schools with all the best tech, they're doing great. But schools out in the countryside are really struggling to keep up, facing big problems with just getting access and making it work. So it's created this stark digital divide. The very tool that was supposed to create equality could actually end up making the gap between the rich and poor schools even wider if they're not super careful.
So that brings us to our final section. What's next for learning? We've seen these 3 huge, distinct experiments all happening at the same time, and each one is carving out a very different future for education.
So when we talk about AI in education, it's clear it's not just one thing. It's at least 3. In the UK, you have the pragmatic assistant, there to help the teacher. In the UAE, you have the visionary tutor, built to create a custom path for each student. And in China, you have the centralized super platform, designed to deliver the same standard of excellence to an entire nation.
And all of this really leaves us with one big final question to think about. Because these 3 experiments, they're not just about technology or test scores. They're really reflections of what each country values, their culture, their national priorities. So, when AI starts to become the teacher, what does that really teach us about ourselves? And maybe more importantly, what does it say about the kind of societies we're all trying to build?